Hi, everybody. It's a Monday, and that means it's time for our pattern projections. This is where we do a deeper dive in the next 2 weeks. Just a reminder, if you want to get a 2-week forecast, a 14-day forecast for exactly where you're at, our app has it. Absolutely. Just get the app on the Apple App Store or Google Play. You can search Noyes. You can search 1 degree outside weather, or I tell you what, to make it easy, if you go right to our homepage, 1degreeoutside.com, and right up at the banner at the top, you'll see the link to both of the apps, whichever one it is that you're looking to get. Okay, overview on the next 2 weeks here in terms of temperature. We've got the hottest air that's going to come over the next 2 weeks happening this week. So you can see the spike that takes place. These numbers are for Boston. They're fairly representative for a lot of us. Some areas where you see cooler temperatures for Boston than elsewhere would be as we get to the upcoming weekend, a bit more of an onshore flow that keeps it cool. But many of us, the same pattern where you're going to kind of peak on temperature this week. You'll come down heading into the weekend, and you'll stabilize as we get into next week near or probably slightly above normal overall. Here's what's going on in the jet stream map. We're going to start things out with the jet stream in the early part of this week. So this is valid at Tuesday. You still have a bit of split flow going on here because you've got a big ridge or high pressure dome that's kind of built up both at the surface and at the jet stream level across the eastern seaboard. This gives us the building summer-like warmth that we've had, right? This is where your thunderstorm action has been driving through the nation's midsection. Now, as this jet stream energy comes east, we start to change the flow. We begin to get that ridge breaking down, and by Thursday, this is our greatest chance of thunderstorms across the area. There is a chance each day, pretty much Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in northern New England, but as a regional kind of overview for thunderstorm action, that's going to be focused Thursday. That's where there's a chance, too, of severe thunderstorms. We start to get a little bit faster wind, not only at the jet stream level, but also through the middle and lower altitudes of the atmosphere as well. So some damaging wind would be a possibility with the storms on Thursday as they come by. This does end up being a cold front at the surface because the jet stream is starting to reconfigure a bit. It relaxes as we head into the upcoming weekend. This is the jet stream by Sunday. Notice, though, no big ridge that's built over the east. In other words, the heat has broken by that point. Those Thursday storms with that surface cold front really do indicate a change in the weather pattern overall that will allow for something a little bit more seasonable and normal. Actually, with this light of a flow, we'll end up turning sea breezes at the coastline too, which will keep us even a little bit cooler, 60 to 65 at the coast heading into the upcoming weekend. As we get to the middle of next week, you start to get a trough or a dip developing in the jet stream. This tends to open up cooler air, yeah. But the other thing too is as the trough starts to dig in, notice the jet stream accelerates right overhead. The jet stream, the fast river of air high in the sky that steers our storms and separates cool from warm air. So in this particular instance, it's an increased propensity for showers across New England as we get into the early and middle part of next week. Once that goes by, we actually get a return of a kind of familiar pattern from the spring, which is troughing that develops here, or in other words, a dip in the jet stream allowing for cooler air. This is for not this coming weekend, but next weekend. So this would be on June 1st, for example, on Saturday. Now, not only do you have that cooler air, but also do you see how the jet stream winds are kind of coming together east of New England? This would argue to have high pressure that builds in just east of us and allows for an onshore wind to continue. So that's why it looks like certainly it's a cooler pattern next week, next weekend that we'll be looking at. And then once we get to, let's say, the 14-day forecast on jet stream, what I've done here is I've basically taken the average of a number of different forecasts and put them together. For those of you into meteorology, it's the European Ensemble jet stream forecast. But one of the things that stands out to me is no real well-defined ridges or troughs. Now, that says one of two things. Either it's going to be a really fast, flat flow, which does look to be the case when you get out across the Pacific and out by Alaska. But here at home, it actually tells me that there's just not very good agreement right now. And you can see that, too, when you look at the individual members on exactly where the troughs and ridges will be setting up at the end of the 14-day pattern. So a little bit more in the way of guesswork there right now. And that's why the forecast remains pretty close to seasonable norms as we go that far out. So that's your deep dive into the next 2 weeks and how we think things will shape up. And hopefully it has a little context to what you see in that 14-day forecast that you'll find on our app. Hope you have a great day. I always appreciate you checking in right here at 1 Degree Outside Weather Network and 1degreeoutside.com.